Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying your asynchronous day at home. Today we're going to be reviewing some stuff you learned last year about slope. Slope and rate of change. A rate of change, as you can see here, is the ratio that shows one variable changes with respect to another. So when we look at slope, slope is usually a slanted line, something that looks similar to this guy right here. And it is the ratio of the vertical change, otherwise known as the rise, to the horizontal change, otherwise known as the run. This is how steep the line is. So this line over here to the side, we can see it's pretty steep, but not too steep. This remains constant. So from this point to this point, these two are a constant change, just like this change to this change. Slope is always written as a fraction in simplest form, and we usually use the variable m. So let's look at some examples today, shall we? There are, whoops, did not mean to pick the highlighter. Let's try that one more time. Let's go ahead and talk about the types of slopes. There are 4 types of slope here. I'm going to zoom in so we can see them a little bit better. The 4 types of slope look like this. We have positive. I made that way too big. We have positive, we have negative, we have 0, and we have undefined. Those are our 4 types of slope. So an example of positive slope, our slope is going in an upward direction. Negative slope, our slope is going in a downward direction. 0 slope is where there is no change. It's neither up nor down, it is just flat. And then we have undefined slope, which is straight up and down. Those are our 4 types of slope. Now, of course, our positive slope, it's just going up over time. So maybe there's one that's less steep, but we can see that that's still going up. Same thing with negative slope. It's still going down, it's just not going down very fast. No matter what, 0 slope, you can think about writing the word 0 right on top of it. It's never ever going to be anything but a straight line that neither goes up nor down. Undefined, I kind of like to think of as a brick wall. It's neither straight left nor right, it's just straight up and down. Remember when we talked about functions last unit, this would not be a function because it's a vertical line, therefore it is undefined. There we go, we'll write out that whole word, undefined. So if we have some graphs like we do down here below, we can go ahead and calculate the slope. We can calculate the slope by finding those 2 numbers. Remember, slope is rise over run. Rise over run. So we can always put that fraction, use those words rise over run to calculate our slope. So let's look at our first problem. Zoom in nice and big. So our first problem, we're going to find the rise. That's our up, down. So we're going to pick a point. I like to start at the lower point. You could have started at the other point. It doesn't matter. And we are going to find that going up to the next point. So we're going from this point up to this guy up here on the top. So we're going to rise up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We went up 7 points. So when we write our fraction, we're going to write a 7 on top. And I do like to put that plus sign there to remind myself I went in a positive upward direction. Now we can calculate our run. That's our left and right. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So we're going to put a 4 on the bottom. Put that 4 on the bottom. And we are going to say that that's a positive 4 because we went in a positive direction towards the positive numbers. So when I simplify this, my simplified fraction would just be 7 over 4 as my slope. Let's scoot over and let's look at problem number 2. When we look at this slope, we notice that this slope is going down over time. So we know that this is going to be a negative slope. At the end, this is going to be a negative slope. So let's go ahead and look at it. We're going to pick a point. Again, I like to use the lower point. You could use the higher point if you prefer. Now we're going to go and rise up to the next point. So we're going to go up 1, 2, 3 times. So on top, I have a positive 3 because I rose up 3. Now we need to run. This time we're going towards the negative numbers over here to this side. So that means this is a negative run. We're going backwards. We're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. So on the bottom, I would have a negative 9. Now what I need to do is I need to simplify these fractions. Simplify the fractions. I have a positive number and a negative number, which means my slope will be negative. We already knew that because we saw that this line was in a negative direction. So that's perfect. We know we've done something correct. 3 over 9 is going to simplify to 1 over 3 just by dividing by 3. Dividing by 3. So we've got our simplified fraction of negative 1/3 for our slope. When we look at the slope of the next two on this sample, we'll see that the next one is undefined because our line is zero slope. Because our line is neither up nor down, this guy is 0. When we try to calculate the run, we go up nor down at all. So on top of our fraction, our run is 0 because we are neither rising nor lowering. When we run, we would go 1, 2, 3, 4 jumps and get 0 over 4. When you type 0 divided by 4 into your calculator or any similar fraction with 0 on the top, that simplifies to 0. I like to think about it as you have 0 pieces of candy to share with 4 friends at lunch. How many pieces of candy is each friend going to get? Each person's going to get 0. So that would be a 0 slope. When we look at problem number 4, we are going to rise first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So we have a positive 5 run on the top. Our run, which is our left and right, is 0. We are neither going left nor right. Now we have 5 pieces of candy to share with 0 people. Now this is where we have a problem. When you type into your calculator, it's probably going to say error. If it says error or ERR or anything like that, that's telling you that this is undefined. So if you've forgotten, you can always check and see that this is undefined. All right, let's scoot down to our next page. Our next page, we are going to talk about calculating slope. We're going to calculate slope given 2 points. So they give us a formula. This formula is super easy to use. I love this formula. It looks really confusing, but it's really, really easy to use. So that formula is m equals y2 minus y1 all over x2. I don't know why it keeps moving, forgive me, minus x1. There's our formula. So now let's use that formula. Let's use that formula. I'm going to zoom in on problem number 1, and here's how it's going to look. We are going to use our 2 points. So we have the first point, we'll call that the purple point, and then we have the second point, we'll use pink for that point. So now what we're going to do is we are going to fill in our 2 points. So our formula said m, or your slope, is equal to a subtraction problem on the top and a subtraction problem on the bottom. So now let's use the purple point and fill it in. Our y value goes on top, in this case is 1, and our x value goes on the bottom, which is also 1. We'll switch over to the pink point, and we see our y value is 3, our x value is 4. So we put our first point in first, and a second point here second. It doesn't matter which point is which as long as those 2 points are lined up. So we're going to go like this, and we're going to do 1 take away 3. 1 take away 3 gives me negative 2. 1 take away 4 gives me negative 3. Now we're going to simplify that fraction. Those 2 negatives are going to cancel each other out, which gives me a 2 over 3 as my final answer for our slope. All right, so let's look at problem number 3 right here below it. Let's look at problem number 3. So in problem number 3, we're going to do the same thing. M is equal to a division problem where we're going to subtract on the top and bottom. Again, we'll use 2 colors. We've got our purple point down here at the bottom and our pink point to the side. So let's fill in our purple point first. Our purple point had the y value of 5, the x value of -4. So we're putting the second number on top, that first number on the bottom. Now we're going to go and switch to our pink point. We're going to write -5 on the top because that's our y value, and our -8 on the bottom because that's our x value. Notice how on the top I have both y values, and on the bottom I have both x values. I also have the 2 points lined up, those 2 numbers in a point and the 2 numbers in the second point. I keep those numbers lined up. It doesn't matter which point comes first and which point comes second. It's up to you. So now we can go like this, and we're going to simplify that addition and subtraction. So I have 5 take away -5. When I have those 2 subtract problems right next to each other, I can turn it into a plus plus, and that becomes 5 plus 5, which gives me 10. Now I can do -4 take away -8. Again, that's going to become a plus plus, and it's -4 plus 8, which gives me -4. I can simplify this fraction. A positive 10 and a -4 give me a negative answer. 10 over 4. Now we're going to keep it as a fraction. We're not going to try and make it a decimal. We're going to leave it alone as a fraction. 10 over 4 simplifies to 5 over 2. Let's look at example number 5 down here. We'll scoot down and we'll look at number 5. So on number 5, they give us these same 2 points. So we're going to do m equals, start with your division, and then your 2 subtraction signs. Now we can go in and fill in our purple point, which is our first point, with 9 as our y and 5 as our x. We can switch over to our other point, which would be 3 and 9. We put our y value on top and our x value on the bottom. Now let's do our subtraction. 9 take away 9 turns into 0 on the top. 5 take away 3 gives us 2 on the bottom. We remember from earlier, a 0 on the top means I have 0 slope. Whoops. Means I have 0 slope. You can either write out the word 0 or just put the number 0. Either one is acceptable. I like to write out the word 0 so I don't mistake it later. If we scoot over and we look at problem number 6, again we'll do m is equal to our big fraction bar and 2 subtraction signs. Filling in the purple point first, we have a y value of 8 and x value of -7. Looking at our pink point, we have a y value of 5 and x value of -7. Now let's do the addition and subtraction. 8 take away 5 becomes 3. -7 plus, because we have 2 negatives here, -7 plus 7 becomes a 0 on the bottom. As soon as we see a 0 on the bottom, we should write the word undefined. You can abbreviate it to UND for undefined, but again, I like to write out the whole word so I don't mistake it later. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your math teacher. We'll be on Google Meets today, and we can also work with you on it next week. Let us know if you need any help. All the best.